Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Zulkifal and I'm a neuroscientist. Fasting is gaining popularity because of its surprising effects on the human body. So in this video, we will discuss how fasting reshapes your brain in 10 to 30 days. So in this video, we will discuss 4 points. In the first point, we will discuss how fasting increases the BDNF, which is a protein in our brain, and what are the beneficial effects of the BDNF on our brain. In the second point, we will discuss how fasting reduces the inflammation in your brain and how it benefits the brain. In the third point, we will discuss what is autophagy, how fasting promotes the autophagy in our brain and how it benefits the brain. And in the fourth point, we will discuss what are the best fasting strategies for you. So please bear with me in this video and let's discuss. Brain-Derived Neurotrophic Factor, BDNF, is a very important protein in our brain. It plays very important role in the growth of the neurons, in the survival of the neurons, in the formation of synapses, and also in the neuroplasticity of our brain, which is the ability of our brain to reorganize itself due to our experiences, but also due to injury to the brain. Brain-derived neurotrophic factor in our brain decreases because of the various factors due to aging, due to our lifestyle changes, due to our diet, but also due to the inflammation in our brain, and it also has many other reasons. Because it plays so many important roles, if BDNF is decreased in our brain, it impacts the learning, memory, and cognition of our brain. Normally, when the diet is available, our body uses glucose as an energy source. But when we are fasting, since the glucose is not available, our body starts breaking down fats to produce the ketones, which can be used as an alternative energy source. On one side, our body is getting rid of the fats when we are fasting. But on the other side, these ketones, which are eventually used as the energy source when we are fasting, they lead to the increased production of the beta-hydroxybutyrate. It is also a type of ketones, but beta-hydroxybutyrate has the ability to travel through the blood and it can cross the blood-brain barrier. In the brain, beta-hydroxybutyrate has been found to increase the BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. And eventually, when it increases the brain-derived neurotrophic factor in the brain, it leads to increased neuroplasticity in the brain, increased ability to learn. It sharpens the memory and also increases the cognition. Because the released BDNF in the brain is promoting the neuronal survival, neuronal health, neuroplasticity, and the formation of the new synapses. Another mechanism is the fasting induces mild stress in our body. This mild stress activates adaptive responses in our body. On one side, these adaptive responses increase the ability of our brain to withstand stress. But on the other side, these adaptive responses also increase brain-derived neurotrophic factor. And this increases the ability of the brain for the neuroplasticity, increased learning, sharper memory, improved cognition, and resilience to stress. And overall, this leads to the better brain functioning. Studies also show that fasting increases the entry of the BDNF from the blood into the neurons. And of course, when more BDNF will enter the neurons, neurons will be able to efficiently utilize this BDNF. Now let's discuss how fasting reduces the inflammation in our brain. Some of the most common causes of the inflammation in our brain are processed sugars, processed foods, stress in our life, lack of fruits in our diet, lack of physical activity, bad gut health, and environmental factors. One or a combination of these factors cause inflammation in the brain. And when there is inflammation in the brain, it leads to many of the problems like memory defects, low focus, brain fog, cognitive problems, bad mood, sadness, irritability, anxiety, depression, and also in the long term, it can lead to neurodegenerative disorders. How fasting reduces the inflammation in our brain. Here we will discuss three main mechanisms. First mechanism is that the fasting inhibits the pro-inflammatory microglia. Microglia are the immune cells in our brain. When there is inflammation in the brain, microglia release pro-inflammatory compounds. These pro-inflammatory compounds increase the inflammation further. Fasting inhibits the pro-inflammatory microglia. Instead, fasting promotes the release of anti-inflammatory compounds from the microglia, which reduce inflammation in the brain. The second mechanism, because of the metabolism in the brain, free radicals are produced. These free radicals are highly toxic to the neurons. Fasting promotes those mechanisms which immediately neutralize the formation of these free radicals. And that is how fasting protects the brain from the free radical induced damage. Therefore, fasting also reduces the oxidative stress in the brain. Third mechanism is that the fasting promotes the healthy gut-brain axis. So we know that our gut and the brain are connected. I have discussed this in detail in another video. Before discussing the concept of autophagy, let's have a look at this example. You all have seen that sometimes the damaged, overgrown or dead parts of the trees are cut, and then they grow better and they yield more fruits. There is a famous quote about the vine. A vine tells its owner that make me poor so I can make you rich. Something very similar happens in our cells. Our cells have this amazing mechanism where damaged part of the cell is broken down into smaller components, into proteins, and they are recycled and reused again to make new components for the cell. So for example, a part of the neurons get damaged. This part is engulfed by the autophagosomes, and it is broken down into smaller components which can be used for the formation of new components. And a new part of the cell of the neuron is formed, and it promotes the better functioning of the neurons. Fasting promotes this mechanism in the body cells but also in the neurons. How it happens that fasting increases the formation of autophagosomes in the neurons and thus promotes the autophagy. Fasting causes the metabolic shift, and because of this metabolic shift, the activity of certain pathways is reduced. For example, mTOR activity. The reduced mTOR activity is related to more autophagy. Furthermore, fasting also promotes the enhanced cleaning and neuroprotection. Through all these mechanisms, fasting promotes the better brain health, which improves our brain's learning ability, it sharpens our memory, improves our cognition, and promotes neuroplasticity in our brain. Now let's discuss some widely used fasting strategies. So first strategy is called 16 by 18 method. It's also called lean gains. So in this method, you fast for 16 hours and then you eat all your calories in this 8 hours of window. Another method is 5-2 diet. In this method, you eat normally to the 5 days of the week, and just 2 days you restrict your calories to 500 to 600. Third widely used strategy is eat, stop, eat. So in this method, you fast for 24 hours, once or twice a week. Another widely used strategy is alternate day fasting. In this method, people do a complete fasting every other day, or they restrict their calories to 500. And last but not least, the warrior diet. You fast for 20 hours and then you have a heavy meal during the 4 hours window. My favorite method is this one. It works the best for me, but you can also choose whichever method suits you best or is easy and convenient for you. But if you have some underlying health condition, you better discuss it with your physician before starting fasting. Please like, subscribe, and write your thoughts in the comments. See you.